Ethan. Hi, Ari. This week, we're gonna do some ASMR, and it's in a format of another creator I really like, who does, actually, let me look up her name really quick. I want to credit her correctly. Her name is No Frills ASMR, and she sometimes does videos reading newspapers, sometimes old newspapers, and so I want to do that. It's going to be a kind of simple video of just me reading this not Sega Newsweek, the Business Week from February 21st, 1994. This was our grandpa Jerry's old Business Week that I took a couple years ago, and I haven't really had a chance to look at it yet. I think it looks pretty good. It's cool with the big Sega on the front, pictures of the video game characters. The $4 billion company that stung Nintendo is making a risky push into the exploding world of high-tech entertainment on page 66, so I'll have to go check that out at some point. I'll say this video is going to be relatively simple. You'll get some nice paper noises and my whispering, but that's all. If you want to use this video to help you go to sleep, maybe that'd be nice, or just to feel like you have my company. Another thing I should say with this video is I'm going to probably have a lot of little questions that I want to ask, like trying to understand the culture that this was part of, because I'm not in touch with the culture of businessmen in the 90s, and that's okay. I'll probably speculate a little bit about different things, but I'm not going to look anything up. I think that's a good skill to practice, is to not look things up unnecessarily, and just let yourself not know something. That can be okay. Okay, so let's get started. I was taking a look at this a little bit already, but I'll just flip from the front. So we've got some big full-page ads. This one's for Cigna Financial Advisors. I actually have Cigna Insurance. They've got the full-page little blurb talking about why you could go broke if you don't have insurance. Then Bank of America ad. The anchorage at each cable end contains 60,000 tons of concrete. From the bedrock of sound principles comes the carefully constructed ability to stand the test of years to come. It's interesting. I also have Bank of America, so these businesses have been doing well. It was good advertising for them to advertise in Business Week in the 90s. So the cover story is this Sega story. I hope you guys are able to read this. If not, I'll try and not spend too long, mostly flip through, look at the pictures, the big headlines. So there's the Sega cover story. There's also a Nintendo story. Nintendo gets serious. President Yamauchi unveils his battle plan for counteracting Sega. Oh, this is pretty interesting historically. And chipmaker Combat. Slick new video game machines open the chip market to all comers. Oh, so that's the computer chip market was being expanded by video game computers in the 90s. And look how far we've come with all these data centers in the modern times. There's a little bit on, so there's the top news. There's international business, economic analysis, science and technology. Here's a power couple. Consultants Mary Madeline and James Carville are among the two sums, sparking a debate over ethics and careers. Oh, this is interesting. It looks like page 32, they have an article talking about the ethics of powerful people being married to each other and how they can control markets together. On page 80, death threats and red ink to fix generic drug maker Pharmaceuticals, Ken Sawyer had to purge execs, close a division, and fend off extortion attempts. This is an interesting shirt to wear in your Business Week photo. He's wearing a Harley Davidson shirt. And then some other major articles. The soul of a small change, how a team of designers set out to make a toy car that would lessen Mattel's dependence on Barbie, and did it in 5 months. Oh, these are the developers of Hot Wheels. Here's an ad for IBM products. You can mail this card in, and you can request catalogs. They have 4 catalogs. Thousands of IBM products, 4 easy-to-use catalogs, 1 toll-free number. This is how you used to buy things. It's so funny. You would never get a catalog nowadays. You just go to their website. And I think websites were starting to exist in the 90s, but not everyone had home computers. There's a company I like to use, McMaster-Carr. They have a lot of parts that mechanical engineers like to use, different screws and metal parts and plastic, whatever you might need. And they have a really great website, but they also have a printed catalog that you can get, and it's a bit of a thing that mechanical engineers like to keep their McMaster-Carr catalogs because they're fun to flip through. Like I'm doing right now, flipping through a magazine. Alright. Up front, Genius Watch. Bill Gates inundated inbox. In and box are 2 different words. You would never do that nowadays. A personality profile in the New Yorker magazine's January 10th issue revealed Bill Gates' electronic mail address, and his electronic mailbox inbox hasn't been the same since. I've got 5,000 messages stacked up, says Gates, CEO of Redmond, Washington giant, and Microsoft. That's up from no more than 10 email messages daily before the outside, although he may receive as many as 250 per day internally. Until the article ran, the software billionaire was never too busy to read and often respond to messages sent from around the world via the Internet Data Highway. That's interesting that he was responding to consumers' outside emails in the 90s. I doubt that he's still doing that. It's crazy to me. He would just list his email, and he was already a billionaire in the 90s, so he's been a billionaire for a long time. Here's an ad for GT Global, giving you a clear view of Latin America. What do they sell? Data collected from U.S. weather satellites. A clear view of Latin America's economic prospects. Many investors rely on the emerging market experts at GT Global. I see if you want to sell Coca-Cola in Latin America, you need really good satellite images. Look at this, another full page spread ad. I don't know if these were just super common in magazines, but they're so novel to me. Getting to see this big, nice printed picture. This is an ad for a desk, a desk and chair. The Hanworth furniture that works. What if finance cuts your furniture budget? Oh, I see. It's also cheap. That's good to know. Here's an ad for BusinessWeek to get more magazines delivered to you at 69% savings off the newsstand price. 69. I wonder if that number was funny at the time, or if it didn't become a meme until the internet kind of picked it up. Yes, send me 30 issues of BusinessWeek for just $25.20 instead of the regular basic rate of $27.95. That's only 84 cents per issue. That's crazy, 84 cents per issue. I wonder with inflation how much that would be, but it's got to be $5. $5 for a magazine's not so bad. You're getting a lot of stuff. I wonder how much Grandpa Jerry was reading through these. if he would like flip through them on the toilet or if he was like really reading every single article. I wonder, there's no way they would still honor this, right? Does it have an expiration date? I don't see a posted expiration date on this offer. I wonder if I mailed it in what they would say. That'd be a funny thing to try. Another full page spread. It's like every couple pages. We're delivering success to the largest corporations in America. RPS. I have never even heard of them. It stands for Roadway Package System. I guess they were a 90s competitor of like UPS, a shipping company. It's just another way RPS helps you keep your promise to your customers. No wonder America's largest corporations trust RPS to deliver more than just small packages, and that never changes no matter what size you are. Call 1-800-762-3725. You guys should call that number and see who picks up. Country reports, indispensable for doing business in 180 countries. You can get some reports and say where you want. You can get from Africa, Far East, and Australasia. It's one section. Indian subcontinent, Latin America and the Caribbean, Middle East and North Africa. That's interesting to me that North Africa is listed separately from Africa. North America, you can get a report on the US, and Europe and the former USSR. Wow, this is just a treat. The Nightly Business Report. Special interviews from the 1994 BusinessWeek President's Forum, Mastering Change. Reviving the spirit of enterprise in large corporations. It's a 3-day-long series of interviews with James Dowling, the chairman of Bernson Marsteller, Alfred A. Pierre Gallini, the chairman and CEO of Gerber. Oh, I know Gerber. And Dale M. Hansen, the CEO of California Public Employees Retirement System, or CalPERS. I'm just skipping to the ads because they've got all the best giant pictures. This is Sun Microsystems Computer Corporation. The network is the computer. What a tagline. The man who made discontent an art form, and the computer he grew to fear. This is an article titled, "So You Say You're Not a Gang Member? Read On." Under Congress's new crime bill, it would not take much creative effort for prosecutors to construe the actions of a board of directors or parents protesting a school policy as gang activity. This is interesting. It's a op-ed about the recent classification of gangs. I'm not going to read that. I'm going to save my article reading for the cool Sega article. Economic trends. Depressed economies are saving for a sunny day. What time of year was this? For February. Oh, so the market chills during February. I feel like January and February are probably the 2 months with the least spending of the year because everyone just spent all their money at Christmas and there's not a lot good to do during the winter. Jobs, where there was a downpour during the downturn. Why Clinton may be rooting for a dip in the market. The gains of Head Start kids vary by group. These are interesting. Siemens. This is a sensor company. 1908. That was then.
One of the favorites in the Great New York to Paris race was a motor car named Protos. It was built by a company named Siemens. 1994. This is now. This picture could conceivably have been taken recently. Today, Siemens builds almost everything for an automobile except the automobile itself. We supply 22 of the world's major car makers with over 700 systems and products, from fuel injectors and microprocessors to halogen headlamps. Those products are only some of the many precision technologies made by the 20,000 Siemens people working at 70 U.S. manufacturing sites. In fact, with 45,000 men and women working nationwide, Siemens remains determined to continue as a leader in the kind of thinking that produces innovative technology for everyone. Siemens, precision thinking. I wonder if they're still making so many car parts. I feel like a lot of manufacturing in the U.S. left during Clinton's administration as he opened up international trade with China. So that might not be the case anymore. How much tax is being withheld from your paycheck? Ooh, this one references New York, which is where Grandpa Jerry was. So they, I should block out that. I'll remember. I'll edit that out. But it's interesting. The magazine must customize some of the advertisements based off of the address, the mailing address of the person buying it. That's pretty interesting. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody found a way to keep chemical waste from polluting? In just 1 year, the member companies of the Chemical Manufacturers Association captured 640 million pounds of chemical pollutants for recycling. Find out more on how our members and partners are working for change. The Chemical Manufacturers Association. It's so interesting that everyone's ads just have a phone number to call. Like, you call the number and you just talk to someone. I'm curious when that flipped from phone numbers to phone numbers and websites to now. I feel like everyone would just have a website, or maybe even like social media links or handles. But no, just a phone number. And I would think, because then the .com bubble was in the late 90s, so it would only be a couple more years before everyone would start having their initial websites. Here's the power couples, careers, and conflicts. Washington's debate over power partnerships. This is crazy. This would never be a controversy nowadays. Like all the crap that's happening right now. The idea of people being like, "Oh, this couple is too powerful." Like, what? That's like barely an issue. I'm trying to even think of like a power couple that people really even talk about. I don't even know. I mean, Bill and Hillary they're still kicking. A lot of politics. That would make sense for there to be a lot of political news. Because politics and the economy are tightly entwined. Clinton's health plan hits the ground limping, but the administration remains confident that it has grassroots support. And there's a picture of Clinton, and ex-Surgeon General Coop Flank cancer patient Daniel Lawrence. Here, I'm not going to read the whole article, but I will read this little table at the bottom because I get a better understanding of it. So, cutting a deal on healthcare. Clinton's plan. The employee mandate is that companies pay for 80% of federally designed package of health benefits. For premium caps, they set a legal limit on increases in insurance premiums, and health alliances have companies pay into state alliance offerings individual coverage. And the possible compromise is that companies pay 50% of a scaled back package of benefits. They allow increases with a threat of action if costs are not kept in check, and alliances would be voluntary and would only cover smaller employers. That's interesting. So they, it's not that surprising, but BusinessWeek is against Clinton's health plan. I'm kind of curious. I didn't even really know that Clinton had a health plan because Obamacare is such a major player nowadays. But it sounds like BusinessWeek was not a fan of whatever Clinton was up to, whichever Clinton it was in charge. Will MTV have to share the stage? All right, I really want to read this one. Come on. A new rival run by record companies may be its first ever serious challenger. I'll just cut this out. It wasn't as interesting as I thought. AIG. How AIG's ability to control financial risks puts one airline in a straightforward course. It's an insurance company talking about how cool their planes are. The planes that they insure, of course. Look at this dinosaur. Trade in your dinosaur of a fax machine and get up to $350 off a state-of-the-art MetaFax. It pays to leave the Stone Age. From now until March 31st, 1994, trade in your ancient thermal or inkjet fax machine and get up to $350 off a new Mita plain paper fax machine with the latest laser imaging technology, plus advanced features like dual access you can't get on a Jurassic-era fax. Oh, good, Rudy Giuliani. Wow, it's like all the same people in the news. Finally, the payoff from Thatcher's revolution. Britain's surprising resurgence holds some lessons for the continent. Britain's cheaper labor, 1993 manufacturing labor costs. Britain was the cheapest amongst US, Japan, and Western Europe. Attracts foreign investment. In 90 they had a lot, and then it dropped in 91, and then by 93 it went back up again. Look like a million without spending a fortune. Now lease the uncompromised luxury of the 94 Lincoln Continental for only $464 per month on a 24-month lease. Lincoln, what a luxury car should be. Look at this luxury Lincoln. It's got that thick mustache, car mustache. Let's just skip to the article. I'm going to skip to page 66 that has the Sega article that I want to read. Multiple, look at this, multiple full page spreads for Amico. Is this an article about them? No, they just paid for like 5 pages of ads. Insane. Ooh, this one's pretty cool. All right, I'll probably have to come back for the Hot Wheels article. Sega. It's blasting beyond games and racing to build a high-tech entertainment empire. It's a typical grinded-out afternoon in Hendaya, a drab industrial district on the southwest rim of Tokyo Bay. Gray, methodical, and efficient. But step inside a nondescript 8-story building on the main road and you're plunged into a frenzied milieu of colors and sounds, the headquarters of video game powerhouse Sega Enterprises, Ltd. Visitors from France gawk at a big screen display of animated martial arts experts facing off before a blazing sunset. 4 stories up, young game creators in t-shirts peck away at Silicone Graphics Inc. workstations, pulling semi-human figures through movements that defy gravity and logic. Sega has built a $4 billion company on escapism, but suddenly, it needs to engineer an escape of its own. After 3 years in which it increased revenues 5-fold and profits 6-fold, and wrestled gobs of market share from Nintendo Company, this spinner of video fantasy is tasting reality, thanks mainly to a bloody price war with Nintendo in Europe. Sega's profits may plunge 63% in the current fiscal year ending on March 31st, according to new estimates by Goldman Sachs. For the coming year, excessive inventories should permit a 52% rebound at best. The current generation of video games is losing steam, it seems. Many customers are waiting for new machines coming late this year or in 1995. Prickly Critter. Faced with similar challenges, Nintendo is responding as companies usually do, holding down expenses, cutting prices, and sticking to its strength, cartridge-based games, page 71. Not Sega. With the joie de vivre of Sonic and the Hedgehog, its electronic blue mascot, it is pursuing a 2-pronged campaign to reignite earnings. To broaden the market for video games, it is finishing up a compact disc machine, codenamed Saturn, that will play more realistic games than the ones on current CDs or cartridges. Saturn may reach market in limited quantities by Christmas, up to a year ahead of Nintendo's next box. Beyond that, Sega has embarked on a grand plan to use the profits and know-how garnered from video games to help it build an entertainment empire. It wants to challenge Walt Disney Company with virtual reality theme parks, take on Hasbro with electronic toys, and lure viewers from TV networks by jumping onto the information superhighway with a new category of interactive entertainment. In short, to paraphrase its advertising slogan, Sega is aiming for the next level. To get there, it will rely on its twin strengths: computer prowess and a deep bond with the most wired generation in history, your children. Sega knows what kids find cool, from its new game Toe Jam and Earl in Picnic on Funkatron to Mortal Kombat, the bloody bestseller from Acclaim Entertainment that Sega, unlike Nintendo, left uncensored. Now, its wider ambitions means going after parents. Despite its profit slump, Sega has a better shot than many other multinationals that are groping their way through convergence, the collisions involving the worlds of computers, communications, and entertainment. Sega, even more than Nintendo, successfully straddled different worlds. In contrast to, say, TV, where one company produces the sets and another the programs, Sega works both sides. It can jigger hardware and software to work together at peak performance. So this is interesting how they're talking about how great Sega is going to be, and we know nowadays Sega did pretty well, and they're still kicking, but they don't make consoles anymore. They definitely don't have theme parks to rival Disney Corporation. They make some pretty good arcade games that are in a lot of arcades, and they make a lot of pretty good video games that are on other people's consoles, but I would not even say that they're a top 3 video game company, let alone competing with every major industry simultaneously. After the Sonic boom, how Sega hopes to keep growing. They're going to diversify, form alliances, ride the info superhighway, and keep today's players happy. Why don't we call the internet an information superhighway anymore? Maybe I need to bring it back. All right, this article looks pretty long. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Sega is grabbing market share. Japan, 78%, US to 22%. What is it? Oh, so Nintendo has 78% of Japan's market, and Sega only has 22%. In the US, it's nearly 50-50. And in Europe, Sega is beating Nintendo. That's actually kind of crazy. I think it's because, so basically, from what I understand, what happened is there was the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, called the Famicom in Japan, and obviously that sold very well in Japan because it released there first, and then it came over to America and people really, really liked it, and Sega was trying to come close behind, and they released the Sega Genesis, and the Sega Genesis was a lot more powerful than the Nintendo Entertainment System, and so it was beating out the Nintendo Entertainment System for a while, which is probably how the US is so even, and then it probably came to Europe even later, and so then now they're kind of comparing two consoles and saying, like, look, this Sega console is so powerful. But then the Super NES came out. It's probably out at this point. I'm not exactly sure what the timeline looks like. But the Genesis is actually the first console I grew up playing. It was Dad's Genesis, and I would play Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. I don't know if... I'm sure Ethan remembers that. I'm not sure how much Ari remembers that. But that's really like... Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 are like the first games I really ever played. It kind of what made me fall in love with video games. Welcome to the next level, chip makers. A new game for microprocessors. Opportunities chip companies see in video games. Chip designers. Silicon Graphics and its licensees are developing a chip for Project Reality Games game machine due in 1995. Oh, this is probably the Virtual Boy, the VR headset that Nintendo made in the 90s that did extremely poorly. Silicon Graphics. Sony isn't talking about this game player. What might come out late this year, it will use older chips to hold down the price. Is this the... They might be talking about the PlayStation 1. Sony's first video game console, I think, probably came out in the mid-90s. It's interesting, the PlayStation 1 was originally a collaboration that Sony had with Nintendo, and it was going to be a disc player like Sega had been using, and Nintendo decided against it. They said, we don't want to deal with discs, we just want to use cartridges, and so they left the project. And Sony said, okay, we're gonna do it by ourselves, and they made the PlayStation 1, which sold like crazy. And now, even to this day, Sony is a massive video game competitor for Nintendo. I think it's a really interesting business deal that happened there. What would the world look like if Nintendo and Sony had worked together and made the PlayStation 1 together? Who knows? how the hottest technology can solve your most burning issues. Call 1-800-DIGITAL. Putting technology to work. Oh, here's the large picture of the guy in the Harley Davidson shirt from the start. All right, let's go back to the Hot Wheels story, and then I think I'll probably be done. This video is looking like it's going to be about 40 minutes, which hopefully will be enough to get you to sleep. There's the Sega story, so it was before that. There we go. Mattel's wild race to market. How it created its new top speed toy cars in just 5 months. Gary Saffer beats a narrow path through the clutter of busted model airplanes and toy hot rod parts scattered on the floor. It's the kind of room any 10-year-old boy would die for, but Saffer's cubicle is at Mattel's sprawling toy design center in El Segundo, California. And Saffer is hardly a kid. He may wear faded jeans and sport a skull and crossbones earring, but Saffer, 49 years old, is one of Mattel's top toy designers, and he has anything but fun and games on his mind when he picks up a shallow plastic box and marvels at the pile of small, banged-up toy cars inside. Just more junk? Not to Mattel. The miniature cars, prototypes for the new Top Speed line, represents the company's latest push to lessen its dependency on Barbie. I see, this wasn't the invention of Hot Wheels, it's the high-speed line of toy cars. Barbie, which accounts for 35% of its $2.7 billion in sales. As part of its diversification, Mattel acquired Fisher-Price last year. Still, the company's greatest hope is developing a toy for boys that would match Barbie's popularity. The task hasn't been easy. Although the company spends $60 million a year on toy development, its boys division has been frustrated by a long string of failures dating back to the mid-1980s. Will Top Speed finally achieve what Masters of the Universe and Demolition Man action figures failed to do? It's too early to know if kids will go for the tiny cars, which are propelled by rubber band and zoom along the tracks and through clear plastic tubes at tremendous speeds. Top Speed, whose existence has been a closely guarded secret until now, will be unveiled on Valentine's Day, February 14th, at the New York Toy Fair, a make-or-break event for toy makers that typically draws 20,000 buyers. Still, the fact that Saffer and an unlikely crew of artists, former auto industry designers, and computer jocks perfected the toy in just 5 frantic months underscores the urgency of Mattel's quest for a hit. And the project also provides a rare behind-the-scenes glimpse at product development, an increasingly complex and secretive process in today's intensely competitive toy industry. Well, I'm going to guess that it didn't do super well because I never played with this toy and have never heard of it. So it didn't last the 10 years that it would have needed to for me to play with it. It's got co-molded wheels. By molding together 2 separate plastic parts, designers simulated wide racing tires and stylish mag wheels found on real cars. Detailed engine. Using latest auto industry computer software, designers were able to craft intricate engine to appeal to young consumers. Translucent plastic body. Unusual design features show off interior detail. Use of plastic instead of metal found on traditional Hot Wheel toy cars cut the weight and improved the speed. Floating front axle. Innovative suspension that allows at least one of the front wheels to stay in contact with the surface as the car loops around the track. Front launching hook. By moving the hook forward from the rear of the car, designers guaranteed a smoother launch for the ultralight car. I will say, as someone who works in product development, 5 months to develop a product from scratch is crazy. I will say that they work in toys and I work in medical devices, and medical devices obviously have a lot more regulation But still, spinning up production lines is no small feat. And all of these parts are probably injection molded. And injection molding can be a rather finicky piece of technology. And it's impressive that they did this in just 5 months. I think that's everything I really wanted to do. There was the Nintendo article that looked pretty interesting, but I think I'm just about out of time here. I'll flip a little more, just kind of get a look at stuff. The mutual fund scoreboard. Oh, you can see which mutual fund is the best. Oh, wow. This is a big part of it. I don't know why I saw the first page and I was like, yes, here's all the mutual funds. From the AARP high quality bond all the way down to Delaware Delchester. That's all the funds. Wow, there's a lot of these. Which one am I gonna do? All right, I think that's all from me today. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you didn't, blame my brothers. And this video actually came out after the outro video that Ethan just did. I will say I've seen the outro. I don't want to put this on this video yet because it still needs a little bit of editing. I'll wait until Ethan sends that over. But I'm excited to get to use it. Okay. Well, bye, Ethan. Bye, Ari. I hope you guys have a nice week.